0 this morning.
Local information that makes a difference. Here's your regional weather.
Some patchy blowing snow later this afternoon. Otherwise, sunny and cold today, a high of 30 degrees, but wind chills between 5 and 5 degrees below zero. South-southwest winds will increase as the day goes on, around 20 miles an hour. Wind gusts this afternoon as high as 30 miles per hour. Again, blowing snow into the early morning hours tonight with a gradual clearing after daybreak. Temperatures around 10 degrees, a wind chill of 0 to 5 degrees. Southwest winds tonight at 15 to 20 miles an hour, and wind gusts tonight in excess of 30 miles per hour. Saturday, sunny, temperatures in the lower to mid-20s, a wind chill between 5 and 5 below zero, a northwest wind at 10 to 15 miles an hour. Wind gusts on Saturday around 30 miles per hour. Clear Saturday night, temperatures increasing into the mid-20s throughout the night with wind chills between 0 and 10 degrees. South winds will increase throughout the night at 10 to 20 miles an hour, and wind gusts could be reach 30 miles per hour. Sunday, sunny and breezy, highs in the mid-40s, a south-southwest wind at 15 to 20 miles an hour, wind gusts as high as 35 miles per hour. For your Monday, partly sunny, temperatures in the lower 50s, and Tuesday, rain likely, but cloudy and warmer, temperatures in the mid-50s. Across central Illinois, as we roll through this Friday morning, right now in Bloomington, temperatures at 11 degrees. It is 10 in Hayworth, 9 in Leroy, right now 10 in Farmers City. It's 12 in Champaign, 19 degrees in Monticello, 15 in Decatur, 10 in Mount Pulaski, 10 in Lincoln, 18 in Springfield, 12 degrees in Peoria. 6 degrees, partly sunny, a wind chill of 6 degrees below zero. A calm southwest wind this morning, 87% humidity with 10 miles of visibility on this Friday. Get the latest in local weather at DeWittDailyNews.com.
MR Systems Wireless has an immediate opening. They're looking for a full-time internet installer to perform the initial setup of wireless internet and voice-over IP services, as well as troubleshoot and repair wireless and phone services for customers. You'll be responsible for the basic installation and maintenance of wireless equipment. No experience necessary. Includes health benefits, mileage reimbursed. Starting pay is $15 an hour. Find out more and apply by going to mrsystemswireless.com, then clicking About, then Employment. Equal opportunity employer.
Your own home without the maintenance. If you're 55 or better, a beautiful Liberty Village villa could be yours. This is Erin, and I invite you to come take a tour of our move-in ready villa. Click the Liberty Village icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Simply the finest.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
You can count on AgroLiquid for precision crop nutrition. When you don't get all your potash down in the fall, when weather or market prices change your management strategy, or when you want to balance your fertilizer program with micronutrients, AgroLiquid is ready with the products and application flexibility you want for in-season crop nutrition and the research-proven results you need. AgroLiquid. Apply less. Expect more. Find a retailer at agroliquid.com.
At Central Illinois Outdoors with me, Jared White, we want you to be a part of the program as well via the Archer's Alley Catch of the Week. Each week, we'll select one of your pictures submitted at centralillinoisoutdoors.com and invite you to tell your story of the great outdoors. We're looking for your kid's first catch or even your first big buck. There's a simple, easy form you can fill out on your phone or computer at centralillinoisoutdoors.com. Send us your story, send us your pic. centralillinoisoutdoors.com and the Catch of the Week, brought to you by Archer's Alley, North 22nd Street in Decatur.
You're listening to The Morning Show on the Big 1520 across Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams live to Facebook Live and our YouTube channel, WHOW TV, and it's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. In this segment of the program, we are joined by Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum and C.H. Moore Homestead. Good morning, Joey. How are you today?
I'm great, Seth. Good morning. you and all the listeners.
Yeah, thank you as always for taking time out with us. And hopefully, Joey, you made it through snow and ice Mageddon once again yesterday. Second time we've gotten a nice little winter storm this month. Hopefully, you stayed safe through all of that. And Joey, as we talked this morning, of course, February is Lincoln's birthday month, and never hurts to just kind of revisit all of the ties. I guess we shouldn't say all of the ties because we'd be talking for probably a good hour or two about all of the Lincoln ties to DeWitt County and Clinton. But what are some of the highlights of those ties for you, Joey?
Well, we really do have a lot of Lincoln ties. And maybe, I think a lot of people are aware of the fact that, Abraham Lincoln did spend time in DeWitt County, but perhaps they're not aware of the fact that how long of a time span that was. It was around 20 years that Lincoln would make regular visits to DeWitt County. It was often his connection to the judicial circuit. Lincoln was, before he was president, and before he was a politician, he was Lincoln the lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And so those traveling lawyers would go from community to community during court week. And here in DeWitt County, that meant that we could usually expect Lincoln here amongst us each May, and then again each fall, usually around October.
Mm-hmm.
So twice a year, usually a week or so, sometimes longer, Lincoln would be here. And yes, he spent time in the courtroom doing what a lawyer does, but not all of that time here in DeWitt County was spent in a courtroom. So, he was actually living amongst the people here in DeWitt County during those days. So it would make sense that then there are a lot of stories related to Lincoln and his time here, and some were preserved, and we can still enjoy those stories today. So
yeah. Joey, I'm kind of curious. What is, as you're talking there, I'm wondering, what are the origin stories with Lincoln's, friendships in DeWitt County? I think C.H. Moore. Was it the courtroom? Is that how those two became such good friends? Is there more to the story than that? What from your perspective, do you have any info on that?
We do not know exactly at what point C.H. Moore met Abraham Lincoln. A lot of people actually would sit down, and either write their own recollections of their connection to Lincoln, and often include when they first saw the man or when they first met the man. Unfortunately, C.H. Moore did not do that. I do have a couple of theories. Before coming here to DeWitt County, C.H. Moore was in Tazewell County, and Lincoln would have spent time in Tazewell County during the time that C.H. Moore was in Tazewell County, acting as a clerk for the court. Perhaps that was their first meeting. When C.H. Moore went to take his bar exam, that was done in Springfield. And, we know that Lincoln spent time in Springfield as well. Or it could have been the first time that they met was when they were both at court here in DeWitt County. So unfortunately, we don't know for sure. But Mr. Moore did leave other pieces of evidence behind, showing us that there certainly was a deep and strong connection between Lincoln and C.H. Moore. And I would also point out that this shows us that the two men were not only, connected only through their professions of being lawyers, but also it was a friendship forged on politics. C.H. Moore was a great supporter of Lincoln and his political career, but also a deep and very long-lasting personal friendship between the two.
Sure. Interesting. Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum, C.H. Moore Homestead, is our guest on the phone for this morning. So Lincoln spends a lot of time in Clinton and DeWitt County before his rise to political stardom. Joey, what types of people did he associate himself with? What other interesting tidbits kind of show up on your radar as it relates to Lincoln's spending time in Clinton and DeWitt County?
Now, you hit on something. Here is a point that a lot of historians give Lincoln great credit for. Lincoln did not only socialize with the people who would be considered higher society, Lincoln socialized with everyone. And this is one of the things that historians point to when they say Lincoln's time, not only in DeWitt County, but on the Illinois Prairie, is what helped him launch that political career.
Mm-hmm.
So people of all walks of life felt that they could relate to the man. And he actually did spend time with them. So, he was spending time with C.H. Moore, who would be considered, C.H. Moore would be considered one of the wealthiest men in the county, very well positioned. But then Lincoln also spent time with others that might not be so high on the social scale. For example, we know that there was a gentleman that lived here in DeWitt County. His name was Henry Mann. Henry Mann was half African American and half Native American. And he was a man who was known for his great strength and athletic ability. And when Lincoln would come to town for court week, when they had recess, and I know it sounds ridiculous that full-grown men would do this, but they often had contests on the courthouse lawn, wrestling, foot races, and whatnot. And it was said that no man could ever beat Abraham Lincoln at the long jump until he went up against Henry Mann.
Mm-hmm.
And Henry Mann actually beat him. So that was one of Henry Mann's claims to fame. And I would believe that that relationship meant something to the Mann family, because Henry Mann actually had a grandson named Lincoln Mann.
Oh, interesting. And I knew that Abraham Lincoln was very athletic, a very strong person.
Yes, they talk about that often. And he was supposed to be a fantastic wrestler, a fantastic long jumper, and also a teller of tales, I suppose, right? And we hear a lot about his sense of humor. I can tell you there are, a few stories left behind to us from the people of DeWitt County where, Lincoln showed his sense of humor to them. But there's also a really cute story where someone here in DeWitt County played a trick on Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, really?
This was in the early days. And there was a tavern just off the square called the Barnett Tavern. And Lincoln was needing accommodations for the night. So he rode up and tied off the horse, and there happened to be an ornery young boy sitting on the porch, sitting on what they called then the rascal bench. And the boy ran up to Lincoln to greet him, and Lincoln, relayed to the boy that he needed to speak with the innkeeper to talk about, accommodations for the night. So the boy, being very helpful, offered to go and find the innkeeper for Lincoln, but he warned Lincoln before he went into the inn, the innkeeper is very hard of hearing. You're going to have to speak very, very loudly when he comes out. So the boy went in, got the innkeeper, brought Mr. Barnett out, and to be polite, Lincoln is speaking in a very loud voice. But he also notices that the innkeeper is speaking to him in a very loud voice. And finally, Lincoln stops and says, "Why are you shouting at me? I'm not the one who's deaf." And the innkeeper looks at Lincoln and says, "Well, I'm not deaf." And they realized that boy had played a trick on both of them. So, that's you.
That's funny. From the mouths of babes, right?
That's right. So, and I would also point out that, things have been left behind. We don't just have the story stuff. Things have been left behind, tangible things connected to Lincoln. So actually in the museum collection, we do have the chairs from the Barnett Tavern. The chairs that Lincoln sat in when he would visit the Barnett Tavern. So it might seem strange to people, because the museum collection actually includes many Lincoln chairs. And someone made a joke once, well, Lincoln must have been sitting in a lot of chairs. But if you think about it, it makes sense that if Lincoln visited you, you would certainly, remember this is the chair where Abraham Lincoln sat. And you would pass that knowledge down. He became a great man.
Mm-hmm.
And Lincoln did sit in a lot of chairs. If you go to visit someone in their home, you take a seat. If you walk into their office to discuss business, you sit in a chair.
Mm-hmm.
So, it makes sense that, this will be passed down. So these particular chairs that are connected to the Barnett Tavern were used for years and years in that tavern.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the innkeeper went out of business, everything was auctioned off. And these chairs went to a family who just, purchased the chairs at the auction. And then they were passed down several generations through the family. Those chairs have been, at the Barnett Tavern. And then from there, those chairs went to Iowa. They went to California. They've been in Seattle. And then a few years ago, they made their way back here to the museum so everyone can enjoy the chairs and their connection to our Lincoln history.
How about that? That's really cool. Joey, I'll tell you what, let's take a break here, come back with some more. How do folks learn more about these tales that you're talking about today, and perhaps more about the DeWitt County Museum? Where do they go? Who do they call? How about all of that?
Well, during the museum's open season, I would encourage anyone to come in for a tour. And I do sometimes have people come in and their main interest is Lincoln, and I can always tailor the tour to that. It'd be the Lincoln Tales and the Lincoln Artifacts. They can also visit our website. That is www.chmorehomestead.org. And there is some detailed information about Lincoln and C.H. Moore and his time in DeWitt County. And we always have our Facebook page, or if they're curious about something else, they can give the museum a call, 217-935-6066.
Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum, C.H. Moore Homestead, my guest on the phone here for this morning. The WHOW Morning Show streams live to our Facebook Live at our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, WHOW TV, and it's all brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. More to come with Joey on the WHOW Morning Show.
6 years. That's how long Love It Once More Thrift Store in Clinton has been open. With your donations and business, you have helped us to help others. To celebrate, we will have drawings for special prizes all month. This is Connie. Check us out on Facebook or DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is Ryan Utterback with Utterback Real Estate, and man, things are hot.
What? It's so cold, Uncle Sam has his hands in his own pocket.
I'm talking about the real estate market.
Do you see these gloves on my hand and this hat on my head?
And that's why you're the other Ryan.
Click the Utterback Real Estate icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of WHOW Clinton Maroon Player of the Game. Announced at the end of every Maroon sports broadcast, our WHOW announcing staff will select that night's WHOW ServPro Piatt DeWitt Counties Clinton Maroon Player of the Game, whose play will be highlighted in each WHOW Maroon postgame broadcast, and that player receives a certificate. ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties, make it like it never happened. Find out their services by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Hear Clinton Maroon live play-by-play this season on WHOW, the Big 1520 daytime, 92.3 FM in DeWitt County and 106.5 in Bloomington Normal all the time. Plus, streamed on DeWittDailyNews.com, the WHOW mobile app, and Amazon Alexa. Plus, tune in for Best of Clinton Sports broadcast every Saturday morning at 10. All brought to you by Liberty Village, Nan Crane with Remax Choice, the 217 Home Team, Warner Hospital and Health Services, and Covenant Animal Clinic.
Hey, this is Todd Gleason from Illinois Extension here with a time change for our daily market report on WHOW. You can now catch our daily review of the commodity markets at 5:06 on all of WHOW's many platforms. You'll still hear all of our commodity analysts and weather professionals each afternoon, but at a brand new time. And you'll still hear the weekly wrap-up of the commodity markets right here on WHOW when Commodity Week airs Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Remember the time change for the daily closing market report on WHOW at our new time, 5:06 p.m. weekdays.
This is The Morning Show on 92.3 FM in DeWitt County. WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence, and on the phone with me in this segment is Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum, C.H. Moore Homestead. The WHOW Morning Show streams live to our Facebook channel, our Facebook page, I should say, and our YouTube channel, WHOW TV. It's all brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Joey, there is a connection. We left off talking about Mr. Lincoln and chairs, and the fact that the DeWitt County Museum has several notable chairs that played a role in significant moments in Lincoln's life. And there is also a connection between chairs and that magnificent statue of Lincoln in downtown Clinton. What's this connection all about, Joey?
Yeah, so briefly, there is a chair in the museum collection that was once owned by a man by the last name of Lewis. And he passed that chair on to his son. And in the 1940s, Fortune magazine came to Clinton and did a fantastic article on our county. And in one of the photos, you see Mr. Lewis sitting there in that Lincoln chair. Well, that Lincoln chair now sits prominently displayed in a display case at the museum. And one interesting thing about Mr. Lewis and the Lincoln chair and his how he admired Lincoln is Mr. Lewis is the man who came up with the idea for a bronze statue honoring Lincoln on the public square.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a lot to do with the campaign to get it funded. They actually asked school children to collect pennies to put towards getting this bronze statue up. And then when the funds fell a little short, it was Mr. Lewis who helped make up that gap and assure that that bronze statue that we still enjoy now would be standing in the courthouse lawn on Clinton's public square.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So, yeah, and of course, statue is still there. And is that that story, Joey? Is that something you display, regularly in the museum? Is that is there a depiction of that somewhere in the museum? Folks can read about that.
A few years ago, I had some text there telling about that. I don't believe that we have it there now. I kind of tried to change the stories out, season to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is an interesting story. Another little tidbit about that chair quickly is, there was a time when Henry Ford was going through and collecting all types of Lincoln-related artifacts, including entire buildings. And an agent contacted Mr. Lewis, knowing that he had this Lincoln chair, offered him $250 for the chair. So Mr. Lewis considered it. This is during the Depression, $2.50 for this chair. He considered it, but decided, how often can you find, a Lincoln chair? So he decided to keep it, wrote back to the agent, $2.50, I'm just going to keep it. The agent wrote back and said, no, we were offering you $250.
Oh, my word.
And even at that $250, as tempting as it may have been to Mr. Lewis, he decided to keep the chair, which I'm glad he did, because now we have it at the museum for everyone to enjoy.
What is, real quickly, Joey, what's $250 in today's currency?
I don't know offhand, but you know what? For those who are curious, jump on what they call the inflation calculator. You can find it online. I use it all the time, and it really does put prices in perspective then versus now.
Very good. Well, Joey, as we've got a minute left here with you this morning, I know we're going to have you on again in a few weeks to discuss the exciting aviation exhibit that's coming to the museum, Prairie Flyers, a half century of aviation in DeWitt County. Looking forward to that. What else are you working on these days? What's keeping you busy right now?
Well, we have a lot of flea market stuff going on right now for the Apple and Pork Festival and other things as well.
Mm-hmm.
Taking care of advertising for the museum for this year. We have an ad we're taking out in the Looking for Lincoln visitor brochure and other things like that. Working on developing the Historic Houses exhibit, membership. Right now I'm writing the newsletter. My plate's pretty full, but
sounds like it.
Making it work.
Very good.
So
Wonderful. Well, you're very good at it, Joey, and your vast knowledge is a great resource to all of us, and we always appreciate you taking time out with us here on the morning show. That's DeWitt County Museum Director Joey Long, our guest on the phone. Network news on the way. The WHOW Morning Show streams live to our Facebook Live feed and WHOW TV on YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network news on the way.